everybody, it's Bibiana and welcome back to my channel. So today I'm going to do a little chilly chatty video and share some tips on how to travel with kids, which was actually quite a requested video following our recent trip where we went to Mallorca as a family of 5. Now this is not our first time traveling, but it's Caleb's first trip, so it's our first time traveling with 3 young children. It is possible, and I think the message was sent because a lot of people are going to have their first flight with a baby or a toddler. Sorry, my kids are playing outside. I'm probably feeling a little apprehensive about what it's going to be like traveling. Now let me be real with you, traveling pre-kids will never compare to traveling after you have kids, but hopefully these tips can help you so your flight can run a lot more smoothly. So I'll just share a little bit about our family, especially for those of you who are new to my channel. Welcome. My husband and I are parents to 3-year-old twins and a 9-month-old baby, so yes, we pretty much have our hands full, and the twins have traveled quite a bit before their first birthday. If you look back at some of the previous vlogs, we've showed some travel holidays to Tunisia and France, Germany, flight to Italy. We really love traveling around Europe, especially because it's closer because we're from the UK. I'm currently trying to plan a trip to Nigeria because it'll be the kids' first time there, so I'm really excited about that. Is it easy? No, but hopefully these tips will help, especially parents with younger children or twin parents as well. I'm going to break this video down into what to do before the flight, and then, you know, at the airport, going through security and getting on the flight, how to survive the flight and disembarking. And, you know, I really don't want to overwhelm anyone, especially parents who are traveling for the first time with small children, but hopefully you'll realize that traveling is not something you take lightly with kids. You know, kids are very unpredictable. Before the flight, I would definitely recommend trying to book a flight around your kids' nap time. So, you know, kids thrive on routine, and if you can get your child to be sleeping on that flight for as long as possible, the easier the flight will be for you. One thing that we found helpful, especially when the twins were a lot younger and they're in that age where they don't really have their own seat, so they're on your lap, is to book an aisle and a window seat. So what you're doing with the other adult is having a seat in between you that's vacant. Now the benefit of that is if the flight is not full, you're going to have that seat anyway, and you're not really taking that much of a risk, because to be honest, if someone does book that seat and when they get on the plane and realize they're between the two of you, they're probably going to volunteer anyway, either to switch with one of you or to find another seat. And when it comes to booking your seats, please do not book the back row. I had to learn this the hard way. I kind of went in with the ideas, oh, I want to sit at the back because, you know, we're traveling with the twins and I just wanted to be quiet and have everyone's way. How wrong was I? When I realized the back is, you know, where the toilets are, so it is just stinking. We were smelling pee all the time, the door opening and closing. All that noise is potentially going to wake up your child, and remember, we want our child to be sleeping for as long as possible. I would definitely recommend that you bring a buggy, even if you have a walking toddler. Probably especially if you have a walking toddler, you should bring one, because if you think about it, they can be quite a long wait or quite a long time to get from when you arrive all the way to the departure gate. And as much as kids can be super independent, saying they want to walk everywhere, it's going to come a point where they just put up their hands and say, Mom, Dad, someone just carry me. Now in terms of the kind of buggy you should get, I've had experience taking our bugaboo donkey with us, but to be honest, it was something I completely regretted because these buggies are quite heavy duty, and unless you're going on a kind of travel where you need it for those kind of roads or on the sand and stuff, then I'd say take something like a lightweight stroller. Number one, they fold into a much smaller bit, usually fold in one piece. Also, I've heard a lot of stories of people who've had their buggies damaged, and if you think about it, these buggies are not cheap. I don't know if you've seen some of the ways they kind of put them on the flight. You see them kind of fling it on. Just got some very inexpensive strollers from Mothercare and left the bugaboo at home. So some kind of baby carrier or sling would be really helpful at the airport, in addition to probably having the buggy as well. Having your baby strapped onto your chest enables you to have the hands-free life, and for me that was really useful because obviously I have the twins as well. I remember even when we traveled with them when they were about 1, because they were walking by then and maybe not listening as much as they do now, so there are moments where, you know, you're like, stay here, I just need to do this, and they're gone. So having a harness for us was a lifesaver. So having some kind of travel bag for your toddlers, especially if they're at the age where they're allowed to bring their own luggage, it's really handy. One, it means it's a lot less for you to carry, and secondly, it kind of gives them a sense of independence, yet excitement about feeling part of this whole travel journey with their family. On the one we have, it can pull it along, and it can also double up as a backpack. You just push down the handle. So one thing I found helpful is marking the passports. So this can be something that is removable, like a little sticker or something, because guys, this is how we roll up to the airport with this many passports. I never thought it happened. I have 5 passports to be responsible for. So we are basically outnumbered. We've got 3 kids and there's only ever 2 of us, if not 1 of us, traveling. So to make life a lot easier and go a lot more smoothly, I found what helped is putting a little marker A on the page where the picture is. So when you get there, that's naturally what they go to see everything matches up. And then also I know which sticker corresponds to which person in the party, so we already know who should be ready when they've picked up passports. So rather than them opening it, flicking it through, looking for the right page, and then once they say the name you then have to think who you're going to show first. I already kind of know what passport they've picked up, so I already have my child ready. And that's what I mean, they're just little things that just make things run a lot more smoothly, especially if you're rushed for time. I definitely recommend that you wait it out, and by that I mean board last. Now usually when you get to the gate there is the option for families to get on first, but from my experience when we've done that, it's not worked out so well, because you think about it, once you get on the plane they're already confined to a small space, and this is probably the most challenging part of the whole traveling with kids, is getting through the flight. So there's nothing happening, the plane's not moving, they're gonna get pretty bored, and kids bored in a confined space. So what I found really helpful is that when we wait it out on board last, the kids have more time to run up and down, which they love doing, watch the planes take off, do any last minute toilet breaks, which is really helpful because it's a lot more convenient than trying to do it on the plane. But obviously sometimes with these flights, especially if they're full, you do run the risk of not really having any space above you to put your luggage. So if you have another adult traveling with you, one thing I found helpful is sometimes to let my husband go along first, as long as you feel comfortable handling the kids by yourself, and he can start sorting out the luggage. So I'm going to talk about milk and going through security with milk. So that whole rule about 100 mils, don't worry, it does not apply to when you're carrying baby milk. So don't worry about that, just make sure that you pack as much as you need. I'm not sure if there's a real limit, but it just has to be a reasonable amount. But they don't allow drinks for toddlers, so you buy that separately after you get through security. I say be prepared. So having a list before you go is really important. In your little container that you carry on your carry-on, I would definitely recommend packing things like plasters, some Calpol, hopefully you won't have to use it, pseudo cream, maybe paracetamol in case you get a headache, teething gel, and also maybe some antibacterial wipes and antibacterial gel. Pack extra clothes because those explosive nappies are real. I don't know if it's something to do with the change in altitude or something, but I remember the first flight we had, one of the twins pooped through their clothes twice, and I really wasn't ready because I only had 1 spare clothes for each of the twins, but then I was fortunate because I could use the other twins' clothes to cover the second change. And also bring maybe like a smelling disposable bag, not only for the nappies to put in the bin on the flight, but also for the clothes which have either been soiled through poops or through spit up, which can happen quite a lot with babies. So that way it's not going to smell when you get back to your seat. Think about when you're on a flight, there's no windows and you're like in close proximity to everyone else, and they're really not going to thank you if they have to, you know, endure that smell all the way to their destination. If you're traveling toddlers, maybe just have a spare top or spare trousers. Flights are not always so smooth, and any sudden movement can mean a child kind of spills food or drink all over them. So the next thing we talk about is ear pain, and the pain is real for young ones, and that's probably why you can hear babies crying on flights as they take off and land. So there are some little things you can do to help make that a little less uncomfortable for your little one. So sucking on the way up and the way down. I believe sucking on landing is probably more important. We're landing now. Like bottles or nursing or dummies or pacifiers, all those are fantastic for the baby to use during takeoff and landing. And maybe if you have older children or toddlers, having something they can suck on like a sweet or a lolly I found quite helpful. Okay, next, toys, 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 and more toys. I say toys enough times. Basically, you're going to have to try and keep these little humans entertained for the entire flight. And when we're talking a long haul flight, you probably need more toys. So I can't really give a gauge how much you should bring. You can just, you know, work it around how long the flight is. So when it comes to longer flights, we definitely bring along an iPad, well, 2 iPads, so twins have 1 each, and this is, like I said, usually for longer haul flights because the kids get a little bit bored, maybe some of the programs they might show on the screen. So one of these is really handy, and we like putting in this case so it's really easy for them to be able to hold, and it's also quite flat on the bottom so they can put it on the tray in in front of them, so it just makes it a lot easier for them to use it. Sometimes they share it, sometimes they don't, but we always bring one each, and it fits quite handy in their own little carry-on that they bring along with them. So when it comes to bring an iPad, always remember to charge it up. You know, it's gonna suck when you get on the flight and this thing is on like maybe 10%, and we've all been there. So just remember, have it fully charged, have all the games and movies your kids love, some of the apps they love. You know, there's no need for mummy guilt on here for having your kids watch TV too much. Also a reminder, do not forget the toddler headphones as well, because obviously it's going to suck if they can't hear what's going on. And I'm going to show you a few more things. Well, we obviously don't bring everything, but it just gives you an idea of things you can bring, the kind of toys or activities you can bring to entertain toddlers and babies. So for babies, these are, I guess, some of my favourite for Caleb. There's some things he enjoyed. So a book like this, especially, you don't want paper which is going to rip easily because you're going to be having your baby very close to you. So I love this little story. It's got different textures and everything for him to be able to feel. It's not too loud. It's got a little squeaky bit there. You want toys that aren't too loud. You don't want to disrupt everyone, but you obviously want your child to be entertained. So textured books like this are fantastic. And then he also really loves this one, which is a black and white book which is amazing at stimulating babies' development. And then for the toddlers, you kind of have to be creative, because, you know, kids get bored very easily. So don't bring lots of the same thing, because there has to be variety, but the key is small, not too messy, not things like Play-Doh, and not too loud. One thing we started doing is, you know, you can do is wrap up some of their old toys, or just go to things like the pound shop or maybe dollar shop in America and just buy very inexpensive small goods. Kids just like the idea of having something new. These are some children's old toys, and then this is something I just picked on the pound shop. It's a whole jewelry set. So for £1 I separated the whole set and just started wrapping up bits. So you can wrap up this little bracelet for Liv. This is some of Noah's little cars. There's Tom's tank engine, a few Lego pieces as well. And just the excitement and the time it takes them to unwrap it, they're already really excited, and that's obviously taking some of their attention. And then you don't give it to them all at once. You can kind of pace it. So we think they're getting a little bit restless. We know we have that ready because that's something they really enjoy. Now, I don't know about anyone else's kids, but especially when you have kids this close in age, or twins in our case, getting them to share can be quite difficult. And I'm not about packing multiple toys just because I have 3 children. So we bring the same toys for both of them, but then we encourage them to share. As we know, it's quite hard to get toddlers to share, so this is when this comes in handy, which is like my little timer. You know, if you tell a kid to wait 5 minutes, my nose already like, had it for a long time. He has no concept of time at this age. So having an egg timer like this really helps. So this one is quite a short one. It's only 2 minutes because they use it for brushing, because obviously we're quite hot on toothbrushing in this house. But it's a 2-minute timer, so we'll make a little rule so they know once they turn this over a few times they've reached the time limit. And it's kind of funny because sometimes they'll just stare at it, and that alone can take away some of their attention. So this is just something, I guess, if you have maybe squabbling toddlers or sibling rivalry, that can help when it comes to sharing things around the house or on flights. And we're quite big on homeschooling. I do a lot of preschool homeschool activities with twins, and we just carry on with that because they really enjoy it. But obviously I want to bring all their books along, so something I found really handy is these flashcards. So I feel the counting ones are better rather than them having to write, so they can just play around with that, and we could do some fun homeschool activities. So this is like a maths and number set. Another thing kids love to do is colouring, and these books again are very inexpensive. You can get them all from the pound shop, and a few pencils or crayons, and they pretty much have a good time doing that for quite a long time. Again, just give them variety. I ask them, what do you want to do? Sometimes they want to colour, sometimes they want to do the homeschool activities, or sometimes they want to just watch their iPad. But as long as the options are there. And when it comes to traveling with 6 children, gosh, I really don't know how that would feel. Fortunately, I've never had to be in a situation where my kids were unwell during a flight. But I guess if it happens before the flight, you might have to consider cancelling it, which can also be sad for the child and, you know, a financial implication for the family as well. So to that, I would say do not be afraid to be that mom. So that means when you're out with your friends at play groups, play dates and stuff, don't be afraid to, you know, just share the fact that you have got a holiday coming up in the next few days or so, and you just want to make sure your kids don't get sick or catch anything from anybody else. And I think, you know, people will understand if you just share it from that perspective. So snacks and more snacks I would recommend on a flight. I wouldn't really encourage too many things like sweets and chocolate, just because sugar on a flight with toddlers is probably a recipe for disaster, because they're just going to be all over the place and you really want them to be quite calm and relaxed on the flight. So high protein, high energy, healthy snacks go down really well. Things like peanut butter sandwiches, fruit and vegetables and cheese and yogurt, and maybe some popcorn as well. Nothing too messy, too sticky or too smelly or too loud, and make sure these are snacks that they actually enjoy. This is not the time to try and be, you know, super mom and experiment and make some fancy homemade snacks that you haven't done before, because you're stuck on this flight. If they don't like it, then it's not going to go too well. So make sure it's snacks that are tried and tested and you know your children love, to make sure it's more of an enjoyable flight. And also don't forget about yourself as well, especially if you're a nursing mother. Don't forget to pack some healthy snacks which are going to help with your milk production. Just keep your energy up as parents during the day. So for me, because I'm nursing Caleb still, I like to snack on things like almonds, and I have tried the little lactation cookies as well. I just really never have time to make them before a flight, but things like that help. Just things that keep my energy up. Do not be afraid to ask for help, any questions. Even if they've already mentioned it before, remember, you're so preoccupied with your kids, you might be missing little announcements here and there, and don't let pride or fear of what people think stop you from asking for help. So if you need the baby briefing again, ask, where's the life jacket? How do I hold my baby again? Sorry, what's your rule on heating up food? Are you able to heat up my baby food, the milk? What's going to happen with my buggy? Is it going to go to the baggage reclaim? Is it going to be at the gate? If you have an option, I would definitely ask for it to be at the gate when you get off the flight, because it can be a long way to baggage reclaim, and if you're carrying a baby and your hand luggage as well, it can be a little bit overwhelming. So I would say be kind to your neighbours, and for me, neighbours are the people around me, the people on the flight with me, and that's how I refer to them to my kids as well. So they have the same kind of respect and attitude they have at home towards our neighbours, the people on the flight, because this is now a very enclosed space and it could be for a very, very long time. So you want to make sure it's a pleasant experience for everyone. And I think people will show you a little bit of grace if they know that you are doing your best and you are trying. So I know for us, when we get on the plane, everyone loves seeing the kids, thinking they're cute, especially like me holding Caleb and stuff. But in my head, I'm so convinced, maybe I'm making it up, I'm so convinced in my head, since I walk past them, there's probably like a big sigh of relief, like, oh my gosh, I'm so glad they're not sitting with us with all those kids. But you know, that's the reality. You know, people want a quiet flight. Kids get a lot of bad rep on flights. It's natural that people might not want to draw the short straw and be sat next to them. So things to break the ice is to maybe, depending on the kind of child you have. So for me, Caleb is a very happy child. He loves to engage with complete strangers. So if you have a child like mine who just loves waving and smiling at people, what I do is I speak to the people around me. I just politely say, you know, if you don't want him to engage, then you can ignore him, it's fine, I'm not gonna take it personally. You can establish where their boundaries are, and it kind of gives an idea to them that you are a mom who's doing her best to ensure this is a pleasant experience for everyone, even though you yourself have got your hands full. So another thing as well one can do that I found super helpful is to create little care packages. You can find a ton of tips online on how to do this. It can just be a really kind of funny note as well, with sweets or earplugs as well, and most times people will just laugh and thank you. And what I found is with that, people are a lot more friendly towards your kids. You find that they're engaging, they might even help you as well, where it's helping you with your baggage and things as well, because they can see that you're genuinely trying to make an effort, and that's what it really boils down to. My final tip is do not panic, and really try and have an awesome attitude about the day. That's really where it starts, with your attitude. Try and keep yourself relaxed, and remember, for the kids, this is a very exciting day, and if you're there looking all stressed out, then they're going to feed off that and get stressed out as well. And also just remember, if things do go wrong, do not worry. One thing that I find quite helpful is changing my screensaver on my phone to some really encouraging scriptures, and in these situations a good one to have on hand is 1 Peter 5 and 7, which says, cast all your anxiety on him because he cares for you. And the second thing I always have to remind myself is, for these children, for these little humans, I have prayed. And those just try and change my perspective and enable me to have a better attitude on the day and feel a lot less anxious. And especially for me, with work and everything, I always remind myself that this is actually time I get to spend with my kids, which I really don't get enough of, and that enables me to just keep calm and carry on. So that's it. Thanks so much for watching. Hope you found this helpful. If you have any more tips to share, please be sure to put them in the comment below. I would love to hear them. I'm sure they will benefit other mamas and indeed papas out there. If you like what you see on my channel, please be sure to like and subscribe, and also hit that notification bell button. So I wish you all a very safe flight, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!